The alien ruin was silent. Too silent. The ancient structure stood half buried under black sand, its broken towers pointing toward a dead gray sky. No wind moved, no sound lived here. Even the scanners felt nervous, their lights blinking slowly, as if unsure whether this place should still exist. The human walked first. His name was Ethan. He was tall, wearing worn combat armor marked with scratches from many missions. His rifle was ready, but his steps were calm and controlled. He had been trained for places like this, places that wanted you dead. Behind him walked Lyra, an alien explorer from the Aurelian species. She was slimmer, her skin glowing faint blue under the dim lights. Her large eyes moved fast, scanning symbols on the walls. This ruin was older than most civilizations. If the data inside survived, it could change history. Lyra spoke softly. This structure was sealed before your species discovered fire. Ethan nodded. Then let's not wake it up. They moved deeper. The corridor was narrow, the walls covered in strange glowing lines. Every step echoed, making the silence feel heavier. Lyra's scanner showed energy readings low, but still active. That worried her. Ancient alien ruins were never truly dead. Ethan stopped and raised a hand. Lyra froze. What is it? She asked. Floor pattern, Ethan said. Doesn't match the rest. She looked down. At first it seemed normal. Then she noticed it. The lines were slightly deeper, the metal smoother. Her heart beat faster. A pressure system, she whispered. But it shouldn't still work. Ethan slowly stepped back. Don't move, he said. Lyra carefully lifted her foot. That was when it happened. The floor clicked. Deep red light flashed beneath her. The ruin came alive. Alarms screamed from the walls. Symbols lit up, glowing brighter with every second. The ground shook. A low mechanical sound echoed through the chamber. Something massive was charging. Lyra's body locked. Her species had a fear response humans rarely saw. When danger became certain, her muscles refused to move. Ethan, she said, her voice shaking. I can't. A holographic symbol appeared above the floor. Energy discharge. 3. Ethan looked at the display. 2 seconds. He saw the blast radius instantly. The center was right under Lyra. She would not survive. He did not think. He moved. Ethan jumped forward and wrapped his body around her, pushing her down and turning his back to the floor. He locked his armor plates and pressed her head against his chest. What are you doing? Lyra screamed. Cover your face, Ethan said calmly. 2. Lyra's mind raced. Humans were fragile. Their bodies broke easily. Their bones were weak compared to most species. This made no sense. 1. The floor exploded. A wave of burning white energy burst upward, slamming into Ethan's back like a star-going supernova. His armor screamed as systems failed, metal bent. Heat ripped through flesh. The shockwave threw them across the chamber. The world went silent again. Dust filled the air. Bits of glowing metal fell like ash. The alarms stopped as if satisfied. Lyra lay frozen. She was alive. Slowly, she lifted her head. Ethan was on the ground beneath her, not moving. His armor was broken open. Smoke rose from his back. The floor beneath him was melted black. Her scanner activated automatically. The readings made no sense. Internal damage. Broken ribs, severe burns, lethal levels. No, she whispered. Aurelian soldiers would be dead 10 times over from this. She pulled herself up shaking and touched his helmet. Human? She said quietly. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, Ethan coughed. A rough, painful sound. His fingers moved. He tried to push himself up and failed, falling back with a grunt. Lyra's eyes widened. You should be dead, she said. Ethan laughed weakly. Yeah, I hear that a lot. Blood ran down the side of his face. His breathing was slow, forced, every breath painful. Still, he turned his head to look at her. You hurt? he asked. Lyra stared at him. "No," she said. "I am unharmed." Ethan nodded once, relief crossing his face. "Good." The ruin suddenly shook again. Cracks spread across the ceiling. Large stone plates began to fall. The trap had triggered more than just a blast. It had awakened the structure. Lyra looked up in horror. "The ruin is collapsing," she said. "We must leave, now." Ethan tried to stand. He failed again. Lyra reached down and grabbed him, pulling with all her strength. His body felt heavy, much heavier than it should. "Why?" she asked, her voice breaking as she dragged him. "Why did you do that?" Ethan looked at the glowing ruin around them, then at her. "You were in the wrong place," he said simply. The ceiling cracked open. Something moved in the darkness beyond, and the ruin had not finished with them yet. The ruin was dying. Cracks spread across the ceiling like dark lightning. Huge stone plates broke loose and crashed to the floor. Dust filled the air, making it hard to breathe. The ancient place screamed as if angry that its trap had failed to kill. Lyra dragged Ethan across the ground. He was heavy, much heavier than... His size suggested that her arms trembled with effort, but she did not stop. Her mind was racing, trying to understand what she had seen. The blast should have erased him. No species she knew could survive such damage. Yet the human was alive, barely. Ethan's vision blurred. Every breath felt like fire inside his chest. His back burned, his ribs screamed, and his legs refused to obey him. Still, his hand stayed tight around his rifle. Training never left. "Left tunnel," he said weakly. Lyra looked at him in shock. "You cannot even stand. How are you thinking about direction?" Ethan coughed, red staining the inside of his helmet. "Because if we choose wrong, we both die." They turned into a narrow side passage, just as the main corridor collapsed behind them. Stone and metal slammed together with a thunderous crash. Silence followed, only their breathing remained. Lyra leaned against the wall, her chest rising fast. Her scanner beeped again, forced on by her panic. She looked at Ethan's readings. They were worse. Pain signals beyond safe limits. Nervous system damage. Shock rising. She swallowed hard. "Your body is failing," she said quietly. "You must rest." Ethan shook his head slowly. "Later." "There may not be a later," Lyra replied. He looked at her then. His eyes were tired, filled with pain but still focused. "Then we keep moving until there isn't," he said. Lyra did not understand this logic. In her culture, survival came first. If one member was damaged, the group adapted. Sometimes they were left behind. She looked at Ethan's broken armor, at the burn marks across his back where the blast had struck. The floor there was melted. He had stood between her and death. "Why did you choose me?" she asked suddenly. Ethan was silent for a moment. "I didn't choose you," he said. "I chose the outcome." "That makes no sense," Lyra said. He smiled weakly. "It does to humans." They moved again. The tunnel sloped downward, deeper into the ruin. The air grew colder. Strange lights flickered along the walls, reacting to their presence. Lyra walked ahead now, her body tense. Every step felt dangerous. She kept glancing back at Ethan, expecting him to fall. But he didn't. He limped. He leaned on the wall. He dragged his leg, but he moved. Her scanner suddenly beeped louder. "Movement," she whispered. "Mechanical." Ethan raised his rifle despite the pain. From the darkness ahead, small shapes emerged. Security drones, old but still deadly. Their red optics locked onto the pair. Lyra froze again. Ethan stepped forward. "Stay behind me," he said. "You cannot fight," she protested. "Your condition." "I can shoot," he replied. The drones fired. Blue energy bolts filled the tunnel. Ethan moved with surprising speed, pushing Lyra behind a stone pillar. A bolt struck his shoulder, tearing through damaged armor. He grunted but stayed standing. He fired back. One drone exploded. Another fired again. Ethan stepped into the line of fire. Blocking the angle to Lyra, a bolt hit his side. His body slammed into the wall. Lyra screamed his name. Still he fired. The last drone fell. Sparking and silent, Ethan dropped to one knee. His rifle slipped from his hand. Lyra rushed to him, catching his body before he hit the floor. His weight nearly pulled her down. "Stop," she begged. "Please stop." Ethan's breathing was shallow now. His skin was pale. Pain flooded every part of him, but his eyes still searched the tunnel ahead. "Are you safe?" he asked. "Yes," she said, tears forming despite herself. "I am safe." Only then did he close his eyes for a terrifying moment. Lyra thought he was dead. Then his chest moved again. Slowly. She activated her emergency beacon with shaking hands. "This is Explorer." "Lyra," she said into the device. "I request immediate extraction. Human companion critically injured." She looked down at Ethan. Her mind replayed the moment again and again, the instant he had jumped without thinking, without hesitation. Her people called humans fragile. But fragile things did not stand between death and another life. The ruin trembled. Once more, something deeper inside began to wake, and Lyra realized the truth with sudden clarity. Humans did not ignore pain. They simply decided when pain did not matter. The tunnel was quiet again. Too quiet. Lyra sat on the cold stone floor with Ethan's head resting against her leg. Emergency lights from her suit painted the walls in soft blue. Dust still drifted through the air like slow falling snow. Ethan was alive. That fact alone felt impossible. His breathing was weak and uneven. Every breath caused his chest to shake with pain. His body temperature was rising, his injuries deep and dangerous. Any Aurelian warrior would have already slipped into death sleep, but the human did not. Lyra watched him closely, her scanner floating beside her. She had stopped reading the numbers. They only confused her. Instead, she watched his face, even unconscious. His expression was tense, as if he was still fighting something inside his mind. She spoke softly, mostly to calm herself. "Your species does not value efficiency," she said. "You waste energy. You take damage that serves no personal survival." Ethan did not respond. She continued anyway. "In my culture, sacrifice is calculated. Lives are traded only when the outcome benefits the many. But you acted without calculation." She looked down at him. "You acted instantly." Ethan's eyes suddenly opened. Lyra jumped in surprise. "You talk a lot," he said weakly. She froze. "You were conscious?" she asked. Half Ethan replied. "Heard bits." He tried to move and immediately groaned in pain. Lyra quickly placed a hand on his chest to keep him still. "Do not move," she said firmly. "Your injuries are severe." Ethan let out a slow breath. "Yeah, figured." Lyra hesitated, then asked the question that had been burning inside her. "Why did you not hesitate?" she asked. "You had time to move away. You chose not to." Ethan stared at the dark ceiling of the tunnel. "When you train long enough," he said, "your body decides before your brain does." "That does not answer my question," Lyra said. He turned his head slightly to look at her. "You were in danger," he said simply. "So I moved." "That is not logical," Lyra replied. "Your survival chance dropped to almost zero." Ethan gave a weak smile. "Then it's a good thing humans don't live by alien logic." Before Lyra could respond, her scanner beeped. Sharply. "New signals. Multiple." Her eyes widened. "Drones," she whispered. "More advanced than the last ones." Ethan's hand tightened around nothing. "My rifle," he said. Lyra shook her head. "You cannot fight again." "Don't need to," he replied. "Just need to slow them." She stared at him. "You are barely alive." He met her gaze. "But you are." The tunnel lights flickered. From the darkness ahead, shapes moved. Taller, heavier. Combat units. Built for close-range killing. Lyra's fear response hit hard. Her muscles locked again. She hated herself for it. Ethan noticed immediately. "Hey," he said softly. "Look at me." She forced her eyes to his. "You don't have to move," he said. "Just stay low." The first drone stepped into the light. Its weapon charged. Ethan pushed himself up with a sharp cry of pain. His legs shook, but he stood anyway, placing himself between Lyra and the machines. "Human," Lyra said desperately. "Please, stop." He didn't. The drone fired. Ethan raised his broken arm, activating a damaged shield projector. The shield flickered, barely holding. The impact threw him back, slamming him into the wall. Lyra screamed. Before the drones could fire again, the tunnel shook violently. The ceiling collapsed between them. Stone and metal crashed down, blocking the drones from reaching them. The ruin itself had intervened. Ethan slid down the wall, falling hard onto the floor. He didn't move. Lyra rushed to him. "Ethan!" She cried. She checked his vitals. They were fading. Panic took over. She activated her emergency medical system, pressing glowing patches against his burns. The tech was not designed for humans, but it was all she had. As she worked, she recorded everything. The trap, the shield. The choice. "This is Explorer Lyra," she said quietly into her recorder. "I am documenting a human combat response. Subject willingly absorbed lethal damage to protect a non-human ally." She paused, then added, "This behavior is not rare. It is instinctive." Ethan stirred. "You're making me sound cool," he murmured. Tears filled Lyra's eyes. "You are rewriting our understanding of your species," she said. He opened his eyes just enough to look at her. "Good," he said. "We've been misunderstood before." The tunnel groaned again. The ruin was still unstable. Lyra looked around, fear and determination mixing inside her. She realized something, then something terrifying and powerful. If one injured human could change how an alien thought, what would an entire human fleet do to the galaxy? And for the first time, Lyra understood the truth. Humans were not dangerous because they were strong. They were dangerous because they were willing to suffer for others. And that made them unpredictable. The tunnel did not stay quiet for long. Deep inside the ruin, something heavy began to move. The walls vibrated with slow, powerful steps. Dust fell from the ceiling in thick clouds. Lyra felt it through the floor. "Those are not drones," she whispered. "Those are guardians. Ancient war machines, built to protect the ruin at any cost." She looked down at Ethan. He lay on his side, barely breathing. His armor was torn open. Burn marks covered his back and shoulder. His eyes were closed, but his face was tight with pain. He should not wake again, but humans rarely followed rules. Ethan's fingers twitched. Then his hand closed around his rifle. Lyra gasped. "No, you must not." Ethan opened his eyes. Slow. Focused. "How many?" he asked. Lyra swallowed. "At least 3. Heavy class." He took a slow breath that turned into a painful cough. "Good," he said weakly. "Means they'll be slow." "That is not good," Lyra said. "They are made to crush." Ethan pushed himself up. Every movement looked wrong. His body shook. His legs barely held his weight. Blood dripped onto the stone floor. Still he stood. Lyra grabbed his arm. "You will die." "Maybe," Ethan replied. "But not yet." The first guardian appeared at the end of the tunnel. It was massive. Twice as tall as Ethan. Its metal body was thick, old, and covered in glowing symbols. Its single red eye locked onto them. Target acquired. The guardian raised its weapon. Ethan stepped forward. Lyra's heart stopped. He placed himself directly in front of her again. "You keep doing this," she said, her voice breaking. "Why?" Ethan did not look back. "Because," he said, "someone has to." The guardian fired. The blast hit Ethan square in the chest. The shield shattered instantly. The force threw him backward. slamming him into the wall. The sound of breaking bone echoed through the tunnel. Lyra screamed. The Guardian advanced. Ethan slid down the wall and fell to one knee. His vision was fading. His body was screaming to stop. He forced himself to stand again. Lyra could not understand. No species ignored pain like this. Ethan fired. His shots barely damaged the Guardian, but they hit its joints. Sparks flew. The machine slowed. The second Guardian appeared. Then the third. Lyra's legs locked in fear. Ethan activated his last grenade and rolled it across the floor. The explosion shook the tunnel, collapsing part of the ceiling. Rocks buried. One Guardian completely. The other two kept moving. Ethan dropped his rifle. No ammo. He laughed softly. Guess we're doing this the hard way. He grabbed a metal rod from the rubble and charged. Lyra shouted his name. The Guardian struck him, sending him crashing to the ground. He did not get up immediately. Lyra felt something inside her break. She ran. She placed herself in front of Ethan, spreading her arms wide. Stop! She screamed at the machine. The Guardian did not care. It raised its weapon. Ethan's hand shot out and pulled her back. The blast hit him instead. Again. His body slammed into the floor. UNMOVING. The Guardians paused. Their sensors recalculated. The tunnel began to shake violently. The ruins core destabilized. Warning. Structural failure. The Guardians turned away, retreating toward the core. Silence returned. Lyra crawled to Ethan. She touched his face. No response. She pressed her head against his chest, listening. One heartbeat. Weak. But there, she activated every emergency signal she had. This is Explorer Lyra, she said, her voice shaking. Human ally critically wounded. He has repeatedly placed himself between hostile fire and a non-human. This behavior is consistent. She looked down at him, tears falling freely now. You protected me, she whispered. Even when I did not deserve it. The ruin began to collapse completely. Lyra dragged Ethan toward the emergency exit marked on her map. Every step was painful. Every second mattered. Above them, the ceiling cracked open, revealing the dark sky. A rescue signal blinked in the distance, but enemy ships were moving toward it. And Ethan was not waking up. Lyra realized with fear that the hardest part was still ahead, saving the human who refused to give up, even when his body already had. The sky above the ruin was breaking apart. Huge pieces of stone fell away, crashing into the black sand below. Smoke and dust rose into the air like a dying storm. Emergency lights from Lyra's suit flickered as power dropped. Ethan did not move. His body lay heavy in her arms, his armor broken and burned beyond repair. His face was pale, his lips dry. Every breath was so weak that Lyra feared the next one might never come. She dragged him across the ground. Step by step, her arms burned with pain. Her legs shook, but she did not stop. Aurelian training taught efficiency. If a mission failed, retreat. If an ally could not move, prioritize survival. Yet she ignored every rule she had ever learned, because the human had ignored his. Stay with me, she whispered, though she did not know if he could hear her. You chose to protect me. I will not abandon you. Her scanner beeped again. Critical condition. Heart rhythm unstable. Internal bleeding. She activated her medical kit and placed glowing pads against his chest and back. The technology was not designed for humans. Warnings flashed. Species mismatch. Effectiveness unknown. I do not care, Lyra said. She pressed the pads harder. Ethan suddenly gasped. Air rushed into his lungs like he had been drowning. His body jerked, then settled again. Lyra nearly collapsed. In relief, you are still here, she said softly. Ethan's eyes opened slightly, blurry, unfocused. Did we make it? He asked. Not yet, Lyra replied. But we will. He tried to smile. That's optimistic. She looked down at him, anger and fear mixing in her chest. You almost died, she said. More than once. Yeah, Ethan replied weakly. Rough day. Why do humans joke when facing death? She demanded. He closed his eyes again. Because. He said slowly, if we don't, death wins. The words stayed with her. A loud sound echoed overhead. Ships. Lyra looked up. 2 alien craft appeared through the dust. Aurelian rescue ships. But behind them, darker shapes followed. Enemy vessels. Her hope shattered. They are coming, she said, fear returning. Both sides. Ethan forced his eyes open again. Then, signal them, he said. All of them. That will reveal your position, Lyra replied. Good, Ethan said. They'll see what happens when humans stand in the way. She did not fully understand, but she activated the broadcast. Her recorder transmitted everything. Trap, the blast. The moment Ethan shielded her, the repeated sacrifices. Across open channels, alien commanders watched in silence. Ethan's breathing grew weaker. Lyra felt panic tighten around her chest. No, she whispered. You are not allowed to leave. She held his hand. Human hands were rough, scarred, warm. Your species is strange, she said quietly. You call yourselves weak, but you face pain like it is an enemy you refuse to obey. Ethan's lips moved. What did I miss? He murmured. You changed how my people see you, Lyra said. He chuckled faintly. About time. The rescue ships landed nearby, weapons raised. Enemy ships circled above, but did not fire. They were watching. Aurelian soldiers rushed forward and stopped when they saw Ethan. Shock spread across their faces. He is still alive? One asked. Yes, Lyra said firmly. And he will stay. That way. Medics lifted Ethan carefully onto a stretcher. Alarms sounded as they read his injuries. His body should have shut down. A medic whispered. But it didn't, Lyra replied. As they carried him toward the ship, Ethan's eyes opened one last time. He looked at Lyra. Hey, he said weakly. You okay? She nodded, tears finally falling freely. Yes, she said. Because of you. He closed his eyes. The ship doors sealed. Above them, the enemy ships slowly backed away. They had seen enough. Across the battlefield, a quiet understanding spread. Humans were not fearless. They felt pain. They felt fear. They simply chose others over themselves. And that choice made them something far more powerful than any weapon. Lyra watched the human ship rise into the sky. For the first time, she understood the true cost of being human. And why, somehow, it was always worth it. The chamber of the Aurelian High Council was silent. 2 silent. Tall crystal pillars reflected soft white light. Leaders from different systems sat in a wide circle, their eyes fixed on the massive holographic screen in the center of the room. The recording played. Again. A human jumped forward. A trap exploded. A fragile body took the full blast. No one spoke. Lyra stood alone in the center of the chamber. Her posture was straight, but her hands trembled slightly. She had already answered every technical question. Now came the hard part. Understanding. This human, one elder said slowly, was not ordered to act. No, Lyra replied. There was no command, no protocol. Another voice joined in. Then why did he move? Lyra lifted her head. Because I was in danger. A ripple of confusion passed through the council. That response lacked strategic value, an elder said. His survival chance dropped below 5%. Yes, Lyra said, and he knew that. The screen changed. It showed Ethan shielding her again during the Guardian attack. Then again. And again. One leader leaned forward, he repeated. The behavior. Yes, Lyra said quietly. Even after his body was failing. A military commander spoke next. Our combat models label humans as physically average. High injury rate. Limited endurance. Lyra met his gaze. Your models are wrong. She touched the control panel. Medical data appeared. Broken bones, burned tissue, organ damage. He should not have been able to stand, Lyra said. But he did, not once, not twice, repeatedly. The chamber filled with uneasy movement. One elder finally asked the question everyone feared. If humans act this way for one ally, what happens when they fight for their own? No one answered. Far away, on a medical ship drifting through calm space, Ethan lay inside a healing chamber. Tubes and lights surrounded him. Machines hummed softly. His eyes opened slowly. Pain greeted him first. Then light. A human doctor noticed the movement. He's awake, she said. Ethan tried to speak. Did Lyra make it? He asked. She's safe, the doctor replied. You scared half the galaxy, though. He smiled faintly. Good. Back in the council chamber, the recording ended. Silence returned. Lyra took a slow breath. My people believed humans were reckless, she said. Now I understand. They are committed. She looked around the room. They do not shield others because they are fearless. They do it because they decide some lives matter more than their own pain. One elder closed their eyes. This changes everything, they said. Yes, Lyra replied. It must. New reports appeared on the screen. Other species were already reacting. Trade routes paused. Military plans rewritten. Threat assessments updated. One line stood out in bold text. Humans. Unpredictable. High risk when defending others. The commander spoke again. We should be cautious. Lyra nodded. Yes, she agreed. Not because they are cruel. She paused. But because they will endure anything to protect what they care about. On the medical ship, Ethan drifted in and out of sleep. Memories came and went. Training, Earth, faces of people he had protected. Pain followed each breath, but no regret. A screen beside him showed a quiet message. Galactic status update. Human alliance review in progress. He closed his eyes again. Somewhere far away, fleets adjusted their positions. Borders softened. Conversations changed. The galaxy had learned a lesson. It could not forget. Humans were not the strongest species. They were not the fastest, but when it came to standing between danger and another life, they did not step aside. And now, every civilization was asking the same question. If humans were willing to suffer this much for one alien, what would they do for the galaxy? The room was quiet. Soft white light filled the medical chamber. Machines hummed gently, keeping a steady rhythm. The smell of clean air and medicine replaced the smoke and dust of the ruin. Ethan lay on the bed, wrapped in healing bands. Pain was still there, but it was distant now. His eyes opened slowly. For a moment, he did not know where he was. Then memories returned to the trap, the blast, the guardians. Lyra. He turned his head. She stood near the window, looking out at the stars. Her blue skin reflected the light, calm but tense. She had not noticed him wake up. Lyra, Ethan said. Softly. She froze. Then she turned. You are awake, she said, her voice controlled but thin. Looks like it, he replied. She walked closer, stopping beside his bed. Her eyes studied him carefully, as if afraid he might disappear. You were unconscious for 9 cycles, she said. The doctor said you should not have survived. Ethan smiled faintly. Yeah, I get that a lot. She did not smile back. Instead, she bowed her head slightly. My people owe you a life debt, she said. They wish to honor you. Ethan frowned. You don't owe me anything. You protected me with your body, she said, again and again. That is not nothing. He looked at the ceiling. I didn't do it for honor, he said. I just did what felt right. That is what frightens us. Lyra replied quietly. She took a deep breath. Your actions changed galactic policy, she said. Humans are no longer listed as minor allies. You are now classified as protective forces. Ethan laughed softly, then winced in pain. Sounds fancy, he said. Does it come with better food? For the first time, Lyra smiled. A real one. She sat beside him. There is something else, she said. The council asked me to question you. Oh no, Ethan said. That sounds painful. They want to know, she continued, ignoring him, if you would do it again. The room grew quiet. Ethan did not answer right away. He looked at his hands, scarred, wrapped, human. Then he looked at Lyra. You were scared, he said. You couldn't move. Yes, she admitted. You're alive, he said. Yes. That's my answer, Ethan said. Lyra felt something tighten in her chest. All that pain, she said. Your body nearly failed. Your future was at risk. Ethan nodded. Worth it. One word. Simple. Heavy. Outside the window. Ships moved across the stars. Human ships. Alien ships. Together. The galaxy is afraid of humans now. Lyra said. Ethan shook his head slowly. They shouldn't be afraid, he said. They should feel safe. Why? She asked. Because, he said, if humans are around, someone will stand in the way when things go bad. She looked at him for a long time. Then she activated her recorder one last time. Final report, she said. Human behavior analysis complete. She paused. Humans are not shields made of metal. They are shields made of choice. Ethan closed his eyes, exhaustion finally winning. Wake me up, he murmured, when the galaxy figures that out. Lyra stood and looked out at the stars again. This time, they felt closer. Brighter. For the first time in her life, she understood something simple and powerful. Humans did not seek pain. They did not love suffering. They simply believed that some lives were worth more than their own comfort, and that belief was worth every pain.